Let's do it. This is episode, I almost knew it. I think it's 464. Let's go. Let's get right to it. It's Duncan Trussell again and Joe Rogan. This is not an old episode. This is a very recent episode. Just came out just yesterday, I believe. And we're about to hear Joe Rogan talk about a cashless society. And then Duncan likens the cashless society to the mark of the beast. And then they're officially podcasting because they start reading about Revelations. That's right. If you don't know, there's a Bible verse, Revelations. I believe it is, let me just double check here. It's verse 13, 1 to 2, 13, 11 to 18. That's the part that I'm reading right here. But they start reading about Revelations, and it gets really, really trippy. Like, I honestly, I always knew about the mark of the beast. I always knew about that thing in Revelations. But when he actually reads it out, it really, throughout the pandemic, the mark of the beast was likened to things that people had to do, right? Now, when they bring up a cashless society and they liken it to this Revelations verse, really goes in sync with a cashless society and money. I really do think so. But let's go to the store real quick. This is IamCoachColin.com, and this is one of our newest designs. This is the Great Resist. Do not join the Great Reset. Join the Great Resist instead, where you can homeschool your children free of brainwashing. You can eat steaks. You can have a gas stove, a gas car, and, free of all sorts of procedures being forced upon you. The Great Resist. Join the Great Resist instead of the Great Reset. That's IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off of anything that you see in that store, put in the discount code area, I am Coach Colin. That's all one word. That is all capital letters. And there's one L in the name Colin. And that gets you 10% off. Now let's get into this clip. And also, if you're anyone who has purchased something off the site already, thank you. You are much appreciated. Let's get into it.
Imagine,
how long before we're a cashless society?
Hopefully forever, dude. I hope forever. I hope we never. It is so scary to imagine losing the privacy, losing it all completely because every transaction is in the public eye or observable. That's really scary, man. I mean, it's I don't even do anything interesting with my money, except tip on the road. I use my card, and I know the argument is that's traceable. I realize that, but it's scary because there's an option. Mm-hmm. If you want to just blow some cash on something, you can. You could just no one will know. It's whatever it is.
Right.
Not that I would ever use cash for anything other than legal purposes. It's just you know what I mean?
One day in the future, everything will be traceable.
That's right. And that's, this is where being raised an Episcopalian, in the book of Revelations, as a Christian, you're going to read it. This is where I get scared because it's too similar to the mark of the beast. It's too similar to exactly what it says. You won't be able to trade. You won't be able to do anything unless you have the mark, unless you bear the mark. So,
what is that in that term? How is that described? How is the mark of the beast described in the Bible? We should read it because I think you're onto something.
We're now officially podcasting. This is fucking it. We're opening up the book of Revelations. We're in now. Yeah. The mark of the beast, it's you can't do anything. You can't sell. You can't, if you don't take the mark, you're fucked. I mean, that's that. If you remove the ability to trade currency in a private way, you are now controlled. You are now monitored. That's
Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from the heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain.
Fuck.
It also causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. You know what's so wild about that stuff? Reading that is it's really clear that they spoke differently.
Yeah.
And also really clear that you're getting a translation from another language. Like, this is the best version of the English translation they could give us.
It gets weirder when you get to the original. Like when you get to the original, because like, you know, one of the reasons that seems weird is because that's a code that like, it's not like it's encoded. Like there's some kind of like other thing in there.
Jimmy just pulled this up. The classical Greek word charagma, translated as mark of the beast in Revelation 13:16, can also mean any mark engraved, imprinted, or branded, stamped money, document, or coin. The mark of the beast is interpreted differently across the four main views of Christian eschatology.
Dude. So that's a code, number one. Two, you know, just one way to connect to it, and it helps when you're on a psychedelic, is forget about the whether or not any of it makes sense, but imagine like a mind produced that.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote that, like,
yeah, what
was their consciousness like? Dude, that's some heavy shit. Like, and it's so specific. And when you get to the original, at least I haven't done it for the Book of Revelations, but the Book of John, it becomes even more intense and more like, wait, what? Like in the beginning was the word logos. So you realize suddenly, like within it is this psychedelic cosmology that in the beginning there was like truth, there was just truth, reality, and then that truth like manifested, extruded itself into time space for a second to like talk about like heaven, or to talk about like the real reality outside the simulator, whatever you want to call it. And this is the best, and it gets translated in a lot of different ways. It was something like it was a light in the darkness, and the darkness did not understand it. So it's like
very, very interesting. Very interesting. I have that passage. That's why I was looking at the screen. I actually have the passage that Joe read from the same website, as far as I can tell. And it does seem like they're talking about money. You know, it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all authority of the first beast, which I would say money. You give me money, gold, you know, and all the authority of the first beast in its presence. So, you know, you have like credits, cashless society, like, you know, whatever they would issue everybody, right? And, you know, everybody said it's going to be like credits, you know, digital dollars, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast. So you have these credits and you're worshiping money. Money, as we've known it, is the first beast. And then these credits are the new beast, right? Whose mortal wound was healed. So when I hear that, I think like economy, like the economy, what the economy's gone through. I think of, you know, like that's the first thing that comes to mind. And just money and how it's tanking right now with, not tanking, I shouldn't say. Well, I mean, the US dollar, it's going through something right now. It's going through something pretty bad. And there's good signs of it bouncing back, but if certain things happen in the world, I don't know. I don't know what could happen. I think it'll always be good. I think it's one of those things that's just too big to fail, but who knows? If enough countries opt out of using it, then we might see something. But again, the mortal wound is healed. I made a video not long ago, kind of long ago, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, talking about FedNow, how FedNow is trying to start issuing these digital dollars. And they're talking about how it's going to be more convenient for people, and, you know, it's going to be much faster, and, you know, all the regular things they say when they're trying to take something from you. They're like, give me this, and this is more convenient, it's faster, and, you know, we control it. In case there's a power outage, that was one of their excuses. If there's a power outage, you'll be fine. And it's like, but if I had cash, I'd be fine, right? Like I can just walk and do the thing. But they didn't. They're bringing something out, and I think they already started. That's right. I made this video before April, I believe in March, and they said they were actually trying to test it in April. If you look into it now, it's all one word, FedNow. They're trying to start issuing that in certain places. They're giving it a kind of test run. But that would be the second beast that you would have to worship just like the first beast. The mortal wound was healed. Once they issue credits, now, and I could be wrong about this, but like, would it have to be backed by gold at that point? Would it have to be even backed by the cash that they're slowly taking away? Would it have to be backed by any of that? It would be like a new era of money. It would be like the dollar, the US dollar, let's just, you know, compare it to that, would be healed. I don't know. And then after that, it says, it performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. Now, when I hear that, I think war, obviously, because like fire coming down in front of people, why would that even be something special? It would be a great sign, but fire doesn't usually rain down on people unless it's in the form of missiles and ammunition and war. And what is money known to do? Like a big factor in war is money. A big factor in money is war. Like, you know, like they kind of go hand in hand at a certain point. Big money in war is what I'm saying, basically. And then by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword yet lived. Huh. I'm telling you, you know, if you're out here, if you're listening, could I bring this up for you guys? I think I can. I'll bring it up here because you can check this out. The website I'm looking at is crossway.org. See if I can pull this up here. So yeah, that's the passage that I'm reading from. You know, performs great signs, fire comes down. I wonder. Because that last part, you know, it deceives those who dwell on earth. Well, I mean, how has money not done that to us? There's so many people where, you know, money is not the thing that's going to make you happy, but none of us know that, and we all want a certain amount of money to even test that theory out. You know, we're completely deceived. When in reality, if you didn't have your phone and you didn't have to worry about money, and you just kind of farmed and exchanged energy and lived in a tribe, you'd probably be a lot happier. I mean, there was a series of people back in the, I'll just call them pioneer days, when there was native tribes and colonizers, settlers came. They would get captured, and then when they would get recaptured by the settlers, pioneers, the Europeans, they wanted to go back to the native tribes because they felt more purpose there. They felt more alive. They weren't deceived by money. They didn't have any of that. Telling them to make an image of the beast that was wounded. I don't know. It's just very, very interesting. Like the video, it helps us so much, boosts us out of the shadow realm. But what do you think of that? Again, the website is called crossway.org. If you just write in Mark of the Beast, crossway.org, it'll pop up. It goes into more extents about the great beast and everything like that. But what do you think? You think it's linked to money? I never thought that throughout the whole past 4 years. I thought it was linked to the thing. I thought it was linked to that, and I guess it could be because that procedure was going to bring about barcodes for everybody. It's very hard to tell. But you know what? I guess all of that links into a social credit system, right? Whereas when you do the right things and you worship the beast properly, you're given credits and you're allowed to sell and trade and do everything. And if you don't take on the mark, then you're not allowed to do any of those things. It's very interesting. And it brings me right back to something I talk about all the time, which is a break off civilization. I really do think that's going to happen. I mean, it happens by the dozens of people every year. I have a friend who moved to the woods. He moved to Vancouver, British Columbia, and just went into the woods. I see him like every couple years. I'll hear from him every like couple years. And he just sends me wild pictures of just the woods, and he just stays there. I don't know. I think more and more people are going to do that. If I had 400 people that wanted to do that, I'd be like, let's do that. Because then we could defend each other, we could live, we could all do certain things. I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but let me know what you think about what Joe was reading and what I've read for you. And if you think there's any correlation there, and what do you think the mark of the beast is? Let me know in the comment section. Maybe you are a devout Christian and you've been reading this since you were a kid and you have a different understanding of it. Let me know what that is. Or right before I go, maybe it's this. Maybe what's written in this passage applies to everyone as the years and centuries pass. And maybe everyone has this thing. Like maybe back when they were using gold, this would have applied to the people of that day. The mark of the beast would have been money, Don't be deceived by this paper. That's like, it's the second beast, right? Gold was the first, maybe. And maybe back when it was just gold, maybe farming and energy exchanging and being in a tribe and things of that nature, maybe that was what you do, and don't be fooled by the gold. Maybe it just keeps applying to every, I don't want to say generation, like every few hundred years. Maybe it just applies to what's going on. Maybe they had that much foresight, just like the Constitution has a lot of foresight. Like it's been hundreds of years since the Constitution was written, and what is written in there applies perfectly to today. It applies perfectly to the people. It applies perfectly to the natural conditions of people, what people will do if they have too much power. They knew exactly what to put in there. Maybe this is the same type of thing, and they just knew. Like every so often, people get fooled by a beast that comes and they start worshiping it, and they shouldn't do that. Maybe that's what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments. And other than that, I'm out. Like the video, subscribe.